Dave, go ahead.
Well, I'll raise my hand. Lori already knows what I talked about. About the county roads that, where I live. You've been over those roads in a school bus many times, years ago. They're not well kept up like they're supposed to be. There should be. I know they don't grade them more than once a year sometimes. And this is several years going. Since about the time, or before Commissioner Duty and Commissioner Hone. So that's about a 40-year stretch or so. That's the only complaint I have. Other than maybe just send you the bills from the shocks like other people should. And wheel bearings or something if they happen to go out on any vehicle. Which you probably won't pay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Win?
Just to let you know, I don't know if Kyle said anything or not, we had inmate hang himself this morning. He's okay. He's taken over, treated at PHC and transported back to the facility that he came from. So, he actually, I think he tried it again while he was over there. So, I don't know if anything will come down the pipe, but, I just wanna let you guys know that we had a little issue, again, so. Yeah. You can't sit on the floor and hang yourself from the table very well, but, yeah,
I'm just kidding.
no, I know.
Okay, thank you. Kyle?
I'd just like to take a few minutes to give you a report. This is an effort to be more transparent to everybody, so you have an idea. So we'll be here once a month to give you an update on the financials on a monthly basis, and Commissioner Delger is actively involved with our board meetings, and we really appreciate that. So for the month of April, we lost $90,000. For the year, we're about 200 and specifically here, I'm sorry, I should have had that already. For the year, we're about $250,000, $240,000 net loss. So we have May and June. Our fiscal year is the end of June. And we anticipate that it'll be about a total of a $500,000 loss for the year for the hospital. And just on a broad summary, we're concerned about that because with the mill levy not passing, that's $170,000, and with PILT money matching for the nursing home, that's about almost $300,000. So if you add that to our current loss, which has been about the average loss that we've run over the last 5 years, we could end up with $1 million loss at the end of the year next year, 2019, June 19. That really has us concerned. And I just, when the hospital and the nursing home were closed, we had chalked up about $2.5 to $3 million in debt that we owed, because we were only collecting about $80,000 a month, and we needed $500,000 to operate that facility. So after a week there, I asked the board that, is there a way you can raise $1 million that we don't have to pay back in order to get us out of this? And we all know it was a pretty successful fund drive, and in 60 days, it was incredible the way the community responded. But I also told them somewhere along the line between that fundraising and the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to need another $1 million infusion that you're not paying back. So we're kind of, I'm seeing that we're right at that cusp right now. If we could get that behind us, I think we've got a pretty bright future. To give you an idea of what's taken place just in the month of April, as far as volumes, I'd refer you to just the front page. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please ask. So our intermediate swing beds, that's where our residents are. We averaged about 18 patients a day. 72% were paid by Medicaid, which is roughly about $175 a day. And 28% were paid by private pay, and that's about $210 a day. So you get an idea, you do better if you have around 40% private pay and 60% Medicaid. So even though we've gone to a critical access hospital setting with 25 beds and away from the 30-bed nursing home, we're still being reimbursed with Medicaid dollars. And then Medicare, based on the utilization of the whole building, pays us the Medicare utilization of that building. So what's important about that is you heard us ask for approval to move from a nursing home, 30 beds, 9-bed critical access, to 25-bed relicensing. And we average about, with the nursing home, we averaged about $1.3 million with 18 beds filled. But we needed another 400,000. And so what we're seeing from the readjustment of payment from Medicare, I think they're going to make up 400 to 450,000 to get us up to at least what we would have made if the nursing home had been filled. So that's an important figure to look at. It's going the way we thought it was going to go. We still have negotiations with Medicare on the rate that we would be paid. So our clinic, we're averaging about 12.5 patients a day. Had 81 ER visits, and I will share with you that and this isn't a HIPAA violation, in the last 2 months, we've had over 7 suicide attempts hit the ER. I'm pretty sure that's a record statewide for the population that we serve. So we do have a real critical problem here that we need to take a harder look at as a community. We have an LCSW integrated into our primary care clinic, one of I think 3 or 4 in the entire state. We have a grant application in place with the Montana Foundation that we should hear literally any day that'll allow us to bring a licensed addiction counselor on board for 1 year and pay his salary, so that gives us some opportunity to bill out and so it won't be a cost to all of us initially. And we also have grant dollars available for an additional half-time LCSW licensed social worker that will supplement the full-time person that we have working at the primary care clinic and the school. But I don't know, I think it's an alarm enough to where we really need to pull all of our group together. We've got some existing committees to really take a hard look at that. So we currently have 30 days cash on hand, and so any of you that have your own checkbook, if you only had a month's worth of savings, you have an idea how thin, razor thin, our operation is. So we could operate a month something disastrous happened. And that's for real, guys, that's a month. So you know what a month's savings in your checkbook looks like. But the good news is, we have your payment in the bank for September. And I think it's $172,000. And so that isn't included in this 32 days. So accounts receivable, 1.4 million. And we've got 70 days out there. We average about $19,000 a day of revenue. So I'll give you an idea about what kind of revenues made on a daily basis or charged out on a daily basis. We don't necessarily collect that. So we pay out in accounts payable $69,000, and that's about average. You have our long-term debt there of 1.7 million. Overall gross revenues that's gross revenues. Now, can anybody tell me what gross revenues and net revenues mean? After adjustments, after insurance, we give a charge after insurance adjusts out, after Medicare adjusts out, after what Medicaid pays. There's probably about a 1/3 to 40% reduction of what we charge, what we get paid. So you see the net revenue is $413,000. We have other operating revenue and expense totals and wage and salaries. I think this is really an important figure for everybody in the room. So anybody have an idea what our payroll consists of on an annual basis?
3.2 million.
3.8 million dollars rolls down Main Street here in Townsend from this operation. And you know, they're great jobs. They're people who are motivated to help their community. Can't say enough about the 103 part-time, full-time employees that we have, and it's actually growing. So that's the two positives is the 25-bed relicensure is Medicare is going to pay us an additional about $400,000 to $450,000, and the reason we're not sure is it's kind of like tax returns until you get it. You haven't got it with Medicare, and so we're having to do some negotiations back and forth on that right now. So as far as the November potential for a mill levy request, I think the hospital board is reviewing that, and I don't know exactly what the outcome of that is, but highly likely that we would be looking for a November on the ballot. But that has to pass through the district board, and they have to approve that and request it. So, some really great things are happening. We haven't really officially announced this, but we applied for a grant. It's called eCare. And follow this for a second. So Franklin's had a heart attack, and he's on his way to the ER at 2:30 in the morning. We had a call, by the way, this weekend from a very prominent citizen, wanted to know whether or not the ER was open and could we bring somebody there. So the ER is open 24/7. We have providers either across the street or within 7 minutes of ability to get there and to order up. We have CT, we've got everything you need to make that determination whether you need to be set on. We have if you've had the heart attack, we've stocked a $6,200 medication that administered within the first hour probably will save your life. but it costs a lot of money to put that on the shelf and use it maybe 4 or 5 times a year. That's a big deal. Same thing with strokes. If you're having a stroke and you get there within that golden hour, we've got that medication on the deck to administer. But anyhow, back to the grant. Just imagine this for a second. You're 2:30 in the morning, nurse is on call, you're coming in, they've called the provider. She goes into the ER and pushes a button. And we've got lights, screen, microphone, and camera hooked up to a board-certified ER physician in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They've done the full capability of what we can do, and we're making a determination based on our provider and that provider working with as a partnership on whether or not we only ship 7% of our patients a year, because we can take care of most of them right there in the ER. But they make a determination, let's say, to ship that patient. So behind the scenes, that team is calling and dispatching a flight. They're acquiring a bed in the next hospital that they're going to. They're scribing everything that's taken place in that room so that by the time that patient's ready to go or we're ready to ship Franklin, the nurse signs off on the scribing and the provider signs off on the scribing, and you've gotten the best possible care anywhere in the country, probably an hour to 2 hours quicker. So that new service is going to go into place sometime in November through a grant. It's a grant process that scales down over a 3-year period of time, and then after that it runs about $60,000 a year for that service. Think that's worth it? That's a question. Pretty incredible. So what would happen if we had a provider in the middle of the winter on the way and they hit the ditch? We've got you covered. Pretty neat. And the other thing that's really exciting is we got that's a $150,000 grant for 3 years. We received notice too from the Helmsley people that they're willing to give us an upgraded, give us $400,000 to upgrade our CT department. And I think we've negotiated an additional $200,000 of bells and whistles on the new CT. The people of Broadwater County are going to have the newest platform of technology in CT anywhere in the state of Montana. Here, right here in Broadwater County, free. Not only is it free, we're currently paying about $50,000 a year for maintenance of our existing CT scanner. We got the room and the CT free, but we had to maintain it. The first 3 years has been discounted to the point where we're going to save up to $70,000 over a 5-year period getting a brand new only CT in the state of Montana as good as this. Let me rephrase that. The CT that we're getting is the newest, latest, greatest platform that can be built on over the next 15 years if you need to, and free, plus the savings we get for maintaining it that we've negotiated will save us $60,000, $70,000 from what we're doing now over a 5-year period of time. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. It's incredible. So we've got some really positive things offered to the people of Broadwater County. You can be really proud of your hospital and proud of what's accomplished. We're given the highest quality care you possibly could get anywhere in the state of Montana. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
When do you think the grants will be available?
We've actually been told they're awarded, so we do have them. We haven't quite selected the vendor for the CT yet. And when we do, we'll get that in the press everywhere.
Before the end of the year, possibly?
We should have it installed within the next 60 to 90 days. Now, the E-Care, I think, is somewhere between September and October.
On the E-Care, does that include some upgrades to our existing ER for things in there? or-
Yes, there is some telemetry. There's another, we have a respirator now. We didn't have that in the past. We have a pulmonologist or respiratory therapist available. We're expanding our ultrasound too, so sometimes that's an emergent application. We told all the vendors that are bringing on the CT that you have to get us a new ultrasound at cost. So new ultrasound is about 180, 200,000. I think we're going to be able to extract the newest, latest, greatest ultrasound for about 55,000. It's a huge deal. We obviously are going to need the people of Broadwater County to turn out and vote positively for that mill levy. Average is about, $50 per household for the year. My guess is that's what we'll be asking for sometime in November. It means 300,000 minimum, maybe 400,000 to us. But we won't get it for a year now. And this next year is going to be very, very tough. But you still have to grow. Any questions? Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yep.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay, next, COS review, you got anything, Bernadette?
I do. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is up Deep Creek Canyon. It's a boundary relocation, a 295 acre parcel down to a 99 acre parcel and the 295. This was the old boundary, and so they're putting 100 acres there and almost 300 acres there. And this is off Highway 12.
And who is this for, Bernadette?
Travis Kinsler.
Kinsler.
Yes.
I will move to support the COS as presented for Kinsler.
Yeah, second. Motion's been made and second to support COS as provided. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, no, thank you.
And let's see, we'll go on to our 10:30 when Meehan Sheriff procurement request for a new 6-wheeler ATV for search and rescue.
Helps me mow all day. Honestly, I brought it up last week to you guys. We've been kind of waiting to see how the year panned out, but what was it last year? Towns Marina, Yamaha decided they weren't gonna lease us the 6-seaters anymore. They did it for 3-4 years at no cost. I think we had insured and I think paid it all or whatever, but they're not willing to do that anymore. So we've gone this entire year without one. And so John has gone out and got bids from our local providers here, and the one from Broadwater Ford is a 4-seater, not a 6-seater. 16.5 is what he was bid or quoted for that. And then you got one from Townsend Marine, it's a 6-seater. It's actually a 2019 Yamaha Viking. Manufacturer retail price was $13,999, but after the government discount, it's $11,704. Did have a discussion with Debbie, and she said that we have the money in the account to do it. Problem is, it'd have to take a budget amendment because with the money, there's 19,000 and change in expenditures. Unfortunately, it's all broke up, so we'd have to have a budget amendment to allocate 11,704 to that. But it's there. She says it's very doable, but I have to get your guys' blessing in order to do that. So that's what I'm at.
So a quick question for you, Win, does that, we have the pending construction plan with the building out here on Cedar, does that doesn't cut into that at all? Okay,
You know, and I think that was, so a lot of that stuff that, and John's here, he might be able to, I know it's the Broadwater Trust. I've heard so many foundations and trusts, I'm trying to keep them straight, but I know that they.
trust board, yes.
Is a trust board, so I think that's an all different, this is just what was budgeted in expenditures last year. We've been very lucky. The other nice thing, I think, is we finally made some headway with Fish and Game in regards to reimbursement on search and rescue calls that involve the hunting and fishing component. They've been stovepiping money for a very long time, but I think this last few months they've actually negotiated where Fish and Game's going to relinquish some of that money. Used to be DES did it, and then the DES money ran dry, and so Fish and Game, part of your Fish and Game fees is supposed to go to search and rescue, and they've been stovepiping that money. So I know I think the number's somewhere in the just above $1 million that they're going to open up to reimburse search and rescue units for that. So kind of some light at the end of the tunnel that we haven't had in a while. So hopefully that'll kind of help things out too as well. But we had a pretty good year again for the search and rescue stuff. And amazingly enough, with the flooding and everything else, we didn't have more issues than what we've had. So it's been good. So people are being safe in that component. So, but that's what.
I move to support Search and Rescue's purchase of the 6-wheeler with ATV with Townsend Marine for the $11,704 as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the purchase of, or support the purchase of a new 6-wheeler from Broadwater Marina for the price of $11,704. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
I'll leave that for you. That's the bid from Brian. So you won't. So you guys have that. So we'll get that ordered. It's and then we'll get them invoiced, and it's going to take a little bit to get it here, but hopefully he said he's going to try to get it here as quick as he can, which would be good. So since now we have sunshine, maybe people will actually go out. Outside, so that's what I have. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Let's see, we got minutes from the Wheatland area meeting on June 6th and June 18th commissioner minutes.
Move to approve the minutes for June 6th as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made, seconded to approve minutes for June 6th as circulated. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. And for the June 18th, 2018 minutes.
Move to approve as submitted.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes from June 18th, 2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Let's see, let's go to commissioners' updates. Let's see, I attended the road trip with Mary, TJ, and Sean from WWC last Thursday. We looked at roads, Price roads, and roads in the Crow Creek area. Rocky Mountain Development Council meeting, Union Sheriff's Department's negotiation, and had a phone conversation concerning the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks encroachment on the Silos area airport. And also participated in the Conservation Services Assistance interviews and hiring process. That was
Busy
it.
week? Yep. We are part of a Brownfields regional team with 9 other counties, and they had a honoring ceremony this week in Lewistown, and honored the head of the Brownfields for really the state, but also for this region. And we're lucky because it ends up to be MBAC, which is our economic development arm. So I attended that with a number of commissioners from the middle of the state. Board of Crime Control, we had a meeting, we have a new bureau chief there. That went very well. HR, lots of HR. We had an airport board meeting and also talked about that encroachment onto the airport board property, and I think there's a united plan afoot, but they requested something in writing, so we'll be able to address that today. Board of Health, that I thought was a constructive, positive meeting, addressed the tire issue at Winston, and also the union negotiations in caucus.
I attended the negotiations, the union, Board of Health, visit with the inspectors on the inspection of the Towson Bridge. Had several road complaints. Other than that, just business as usual.
Let's see. Have a letter here from Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks about the fur-bearing trapping season and the 2018 quotas proposed. Another letter here from the Department of Health and Human Services Environmental Lab. The results from the water test from the Silos Recreation Area. Looks like everything passed. Have claims in the amount of $61,209.69.
Move to approve, pay the approved claims in $61,209.69.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the claims in said amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Northwest Energy claims for Silos Campground, Silos Group, and Senior Citizens Area. Some backup paperwork for the FEMA project for Broadwater County that needs to be signed. These are 1% contractor gross receipts with contract registration. Gross receipt withholding return and contract award we just need to sign these as the preparer.
All right. We don't really need a vote, although I'd be happy to make one if you want one, because we've already approved the
Yeah,
project.
we'll just sign them. Letter from Great Western Engineering, it's consulting agreement for the Townsend Area Recreation Facility Plan and lease updates. The
Move
amount
to-
of $24,350 and this money I believe is coming from the Canyon Ferry Trust Board.
In total,
In
yes.
total, okay.
This is, their plan to map out the recreation opportunities in the county, but also specifically to put together what we're required to do for the acquisition of the golf course, rod and gun club, Old Poor Farm, 10 acres, and softball fields, from National Park Service. So move to approve the scope of work with Great West Engineering as presented.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion's made and second to approve agreement with Great Western for the Townsend Area Recreation Facilities Plan and lease updates. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Oh, this is the official notice to join a class action suit for recover additional sums under the Payments in lieu of Taxes Act for fiscal year 2015, 16, and 17. And here's a class action opt-in notice form that we need to fill out by no later than September 14th, 2018.
I did not have a chance to be on that phone call. I had that conflict and just couldn't change it. But Chantel did send an update, and this doesn't cost us anything. There's really no downside. This is being run by a county attorney in the Midwest and open to all counties. There was a spreadsheet that showed where each county stood. And so I suggest that we do opt in. I think this is a good idea. When the federal government makes a promise to local governments, they need to keep it. It's pretty much that simple.
Did you?
Would you like me to make a motion
Yes.
to that effect? I move that we opt in to the class action lawsuit to ensure full funding of PILT and back pay.
So who would we put in here for the, would Corey be the contact person?
No, we would, because we are the ones mandated by law to be the heads of
Okay.
contracts. So it'd be the commission chair. We could ask the finance officer to be the contact person, even though we signed the
Okay.
contract. That way she is aware of when that money is coming in and of any documentation they may need.
So the motion's been made to submit this class action opt-in notice form. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. In favor, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
And what we can do is determine who that point person is, maybe after talking to them,
Okay.
and put together maybe a strategic team to kind of be watching how this progresses and make sure all the Ts are crossed, the Is are dotted.
We'll just keep this and talk. to everybody.
Yeah,
Let's see what this time is. Okay, so
we
what
should
else do
give
we
that
have?
to Ann so she can put it through the process since we
Okay.
voted on it, and then we can figure out the paperwork.
Okay, so what else do we have?
I have those two letters for FWP and Bureau of Reclamation regarding the parking, whoops, sorry about that. Regarding the parking at the fish cleaning, or the boat cleaning station. Oops.
Are these both the same?
Mm-hmm.
And I
They are.
did talk to Fish, Wildlife and Parks, they said it would be about 3 weeks
Yeah,
before they get a contractor and a surveyor out there. Then they were agreeable to recontouring that land to where it was. They kinda wanted to wait. Well, they're gonna take 3 weeks, they said to be best anyway because of all the overflow traffic from this weekend and then the 4th. So then people are gonna have to readjust the way they're working out there. They said they would get it straightened out,
okay.
at least what they're gonna work on.
The airport board would like a fence put up. Their thinking is it can't even be used as a staging area. I saw it used as a parking area this weekend, and FAA would not allow that. 3 weeks is gonna, you know, it is what it is.
Where do they want the fence on the road, and then are they gonna fence the entire property?
Yeah, and they're getting a grant. They fenced the east, northwest, side of the airport last year, and they have a grant that they're pretty assured of will do the other side. But what they want is FWP to go ahead and do the south end now, so that they don't have to redo it,
Oh, okay.
this year. They want that to go all the way out to the survey stake. That way there's no question that it's not a parking area or a staging area.
And they would fund that along with, them and FWP would share the cost of that fence?
I don't know, I didn't ask.
Actually,
They
it
did.
wouldn't be FWP, it would be BOR, would it not?
It would be, I would think FWP and BOR, but, you know, that's up to them. But I don't think it should be the airport that would fund that part of it, since this really wasn't their error.
I guess we will entertain a motion to sign these letters and pass them on to the Fish, Wildlife and Parks and the BOR Canyon Ferry Field Office. Just go ahead and sign these then, or?
Since I wrote it, I was kinda hoping that we'd have somebody else move, but I'll move that we sign the letters for FWP and BOR concerning the FAA property at Silos Canyon Ferry.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second to send these 2 letters to BOR and Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Does anybody else have anything else to do? Oh, before we wait for Nicole at 11 o'clock.
I do have another letter here. I'll give those to you to pass to Franklin. We had a citizen send us a letter regarding an employee. Everything contained in the letter is public domain. It just really talks about the structure of the position and answers his questions and concerns, which I think is important. And these letters were all emailed this morning, so everyone had them before the meeting.
We'll entertain a motion to approve this letter as being sent to Tom Williams. I'll make a motion to approve the letter.
And I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the letter to Tom Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Pass that back to you for Franklin. And then the last thing I have, if we're still in a holding pattern, I don't see Nicole. This is just, more or less, ongoing managerial. It's part of the consent agenda, but basically that is the salary matrix. And more than anything else, it's one of those tools that those who hate government and don't want to see government function, hate. What that is a tool, it's a managerial tool that makes transparent what our process is regarding the compensation for employees. It's for employees to use, supervisors to use, and the public to supervise us and what we're doing and the decisions we're making. We used to have a practice that was pretty sound, but it was open to abuse. And so in 2016, the commission voted and approved hiring a third-party, unbiased company to come in and do a full salary matrix for Broadwater County. This is following best practices of a number of other counties. And what they did is they came back with a wage comparison with 6 counties, much like Broadwater County, not including Lewis and Clark and Gallatin, although they were included on a separate document just so we had a comparison for locals. It isn't included in the salary matrix. And based on a formula from HR that is updated to 2018 so that we can see where we are at today versus 2 years ago. So what I would like to do is move to approve this as our working document so that everybody's using the same salary matrix for all departments and employees. It means we're all just kind of playing off the same sheet of music. And big change on that is it does include our new public works supervisor. And when you guys are ready, I'll also move, or when someone can, to adopt a new job description, which was done prior to hiring, but now it's official. When that was adopted, Dick Larson of Larson Inc. was here to answer questions on how to use this tool. And really the only people who had questions or comments were those that did not want us to have any kind of transparency. It was the usual group that we have that kind of challenged us on everything we were doing.
how long would, if he did the actual study in 2016, so how long do we just continue to update this with the formula that he gave us, or do we have to have this redone in a certain amount of time?
We should actually readdress it, I would say. He suggested every 6 years, I would suggest every 4. If we do it in-house, it's gonna be time consuming to do it in-house. If we did it in-house, it would be less expensive. That's why I would say 4 years. If we hire somebody to come in as a third party, again, I'd say every 6 years. It wouldn't be as expensive as the first time, because it's an update, not a creation. But you certainly don't wanna pay to have someone come in every single year, it's just not necessary. We've used it already to success with the road crew negotiations. What it does is it just gives us a foundation of being defensible in our decisions. Should there be any kind of a legal challenge, then you call in a third-party professional, Dick Larson, and put it together, and he would testify on behalf of the county. So it protects us from liability claim.
You made the motion already to adopt this?
I will move that we adopt this as the official salary matrix for Broadwater County.
Motion's been made to adopt this as the official wage matrix for Broadwater County for 2018. Is there a second? I'll second. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. Is this something that have we had all the department heads, have they had a chance to see this thing? This is the new official one?
Yeah, this is the official, but I don't know if the public's.
They've had it for a while. As far as the update, that was sent out a couple months ago. Michelle just sent this out in an official document this week. But yeah, everybody's had it. And I would hope employees have had it too. That would be up to supervisors, but it certainly should be shared with employees and staff. It's certainly been shared with the public. So, yeah, it's been a public document for a long time.
Is this the one that adjusts the, is this the one that we discussed, that adjusts the deputies?
It doesn't adjust anybody, it's just a managerial tool. It gives us comparisons, low, middle, or low and high, so that we can figure out the median. It doesn't adjust anything, that's still up to management.
But I mean, the one that's been discussed that's going into the negotiations with the deputies,
We
that's not
believe
in line
so.
with that previous one?
We'll want to clarify, it looks like it, but we'll want to clarify that with Erin, make sure that she's got the same one the rest of us are using. And that's one of the other reasons for needing to adopt this, so that the union is working off the same information we are.
Okay, that was my concern, is that if this is one that has a different scale for, you know, basically a whole different study or series of numbers that was for the law enforcement team and not for all the other county employees, that one is, I'm concerned that that would be the official one, that we're gonna have some issues. And then going off that, my discussion with the sheriff, because I knew we started with those new renegotiations for the collective bargaining agreement, and so I guess I would just echo those concerns, that if that's what you're about to vote on, I think that needs some work.
It isn't, it isn't, there was a misunderstanding last week that a worksheet was being used. This is the official document, it's not the one you're concerned about. This does appear to be the one that Erin was using, but again, we'll need to work that out this afternoon and make sure that everybody has the exact same document. And that's the reason we were asked to bring this forward today, to end the misunderstandings and put everybody on the same sheet of music.
Do you
It's
have
really
copies
that
of
simple.
Can we look at it?
When did it get emailed out? Because the only thing that I got emailed to me was Michelle's, I took this upon myself, email to do this. I don't have anything else. So I'm gonna tell you, this is my opinion, is that if you go and put this into place, and I know what you're trying to do here, you've already opened negotiations, you put this into place using a different set of numbers and a different set of rules, and a different set of standards, you just opened your door to litigation. And if you think I'm wrong, go ahead and try and see what's gonna happen. But we did this the last time with you guys, and you end up getting sued, you end up losing, and you end up paying a whole bunch of money out, because you guys didn't listen the first time. So, sit here and do whatever you want, but I'm gonna tell you, you started this thing out using 16 numbers, now you got the negotiations, now you're trying to implement a new set of numbers that fit your need. It's not good.
Mr. Chairman, I think, I appreciate what the sheriff is saying, but I think he's still on the conversation last week. This hopefully has addressed all the questions in a way that is transparent and puts everybody talking on the same language. It's just that simple. The same formula is used, this is just really the major increase you'll know from the email was the inclusion of the Public Works Director.
But
This
you
is
guys didn't
just
create this in
putting-
16-17, you didn't do it in 17-18, you did it today. So don't give me this that we've always done it this way, you use the 16 data up until last week. Last week, then you want to change it. So don't sit here and give me this. I think you forget that I'm a trained
Mr.
investigator.
Chairman, I would like civility in this meeting, please.
One thing, when I got an email from Aaron last Wednesday night at
I got the
9
same
o'clock,
one.
and the email said that she wanted this for the adjustments for 17, 8, and 18 and 19.
Mhm.
And this is the adjustments.
Okay, but it also said the 16-17, didn't it? Because there's nothing there. This is something that's manufactured today by an unqualified person. Michelle Beebe is not qualified in any form or fashion, nor is it in her job description, to create a wage matrix. She's accounts payable. So tell me how this has any rationalization whatsoever. You paid $30,000 to an expert to create a wage matrix. Now you have somebody who's unqualified, but does what you guys want her to do to create a wage matrix that has no foundation to it whatsoever. You're creating a new document. Plain and simple. Creating a new document that hasn't been used before, ever, and now you're creating it now. So, like I said, feel free to do whatever you want. I will tell you what the outcome is gonna be at the end of it.
But the thing is, she made this document with the guidelines that the expert
She's
gave
not
to
qualified
her.
to do it, Mike.
So who do we hire to do it then? Who's
Go back to Dick Larson. You hired him the first time to do it. You can't take it's like me doing a wage matrix.
But he gave her the formula to do the adjustment. So what?
So the number, did you look at those? Because the numbers don't even match. Mike, the numbers don't match. You can't go from 1687 to 1503 in 3 years and say that that is even remotely close to being correct.
Can I ask a question here? Is that, so when was this document sent out that you guys have before you?
I haven't received it.
This one that we have in front of us was sent out last week. The previous one that just didn't change the upper date from 16 to 18, but the other numbers were changed. The only inclusion was the Public Works Supervisor was sent out months ago. I don't know the date.
Okay, so this one, I didn't bring it, I didn't see that on the agenda today. I didn't realize you were gonna go and vote on that, so could we look at it?
Sure.
It's part of the consent agenda, and it's so that we can have some clarity. We didn't realize there wasn't the clarity, so this is
Here,
just
Corey.
making it official so that there's less confusion, hopefully less strife.
So,
My chair is squeaky.
so what is the concern on this document? I
So
haven't
that
had a
particular
chance.
one, so what we're doing, so this is how they came up with their formula, is you take the starting salary, then you add a 2.5 cost of living, 2.5 cost of living, and 2.1 cost of living to make a new market wage adjustment, where it's not necessarily market wage, it's just, we're just changing the base salary for starting detention based upon given cost of living. That's all it is. It's no